As a matter of fact, life itself is full of mystery. Why talk about life being full of mystery? Life itself is a mystery. Death is a mystery. When we feel hungry, it is also very mystical. The internal engineering which works inside is also very mystical. So everything is very mystical. Everything is known by religion and culture as it's Maya, it is not real. Fair and fine, but every mystery has some reason and a purpose. There is always a science working behind any mystical phenomenon. We talk about sleep today, one of those most mystical phenomena and probably most misunderstood phenomena. It's very vital for us. It's very vital not just for health and well-being, but to be aligned with nature. Sleep is one of the finest phenomena which we must understand. You can regulate your hunger for food. That's still fine. So let's talk about sleep. When we talk about sleep, it is an automatic process in which your body asks for closing the eyes and lying down. So what happens in the sleep? So I'll show you through these two boxes which I have here. Sleep is a is a process where you take this as a subconscious. Now what is subconscious? We just spoke about every mystery has a scientific reason behind it. So this subconscious, which is like a cup, if you like to call that way, which has memories of, patterns of, and the purpose of your life. Life after life. Now when you are born, from the day one, you start to develop your mind. So you start to program it. Your environment, your parents, your society, teachers, your learning. You start to program it. Each time you program it, during the day, it starts to go away from the subconscious. And you are allowed. It's perfectly fine. You can also go absolutely away from your subconscious, which means if you are supposed to be, let's say, programmed to play football throughout the day, you can decide on your own to walk away from the subconscious and become a laborer for the day. And this is your mind saying, I must survive. I'm not listening to my subconscious. This is my situation and I have to do this. It's perfectly fine. You can do that. But like Cinderella, if you come back in the night, having no imprints and no belief of it, coming here, and you start to attach yourself back to the subconscious, which is what sleep does. So when you sleep, this mind has to get empty. When it gets empty, that is where it starts to, like Cinderella, come back and get attached to the subconscious. And when it is attached to the subconscious, it does 2-3 things. A, the program which was there for you for the day, which was there in the subconscious, is the program which gets downloaded in the sleep. Which means entire wisdom which you require to solve your problem is downloaded to you in your sleep. Download means it is made available to your conscious mind. So you have experienced it several times that when you wake up and you're working on some important decision to be made, when you wake up next morning, you realize that everything which you built as a logic, something in the morning is telling you not to go with the logic. Where is that wisdom coming from? So subconscious is always guiding you. Your logical mind is not listening to subconscious. And when it listens to it, the process is called process of sleep. For 8 hours, 6 hours, for for whatever hours you are sleeping, this is the process in which the download is happening. And that is why there is an importance of waking up at 3:34 in the morning. When you wake up in the morning, your mind is empty, and that's the time when you can actually be awake with all your insights which are given to you in the sleep. Now what happens technically? Technically, the reason we are deteriorating in our health is that when we close ourselves for sleep, our mind is still active. It is not fully, if you look at it, it is not fully connected to subconscious. Sound sleep is not. So what happens? What is happening? In this process, when your mind is still active and you go to bed, why you go to bed when your mind is active? Simply because your body cannot take it anymore. It has to go back to its origin. Origin is not subconscious, origin is unconscious, which is beyond this. So what happens is that whatever you have done during the day, you give your program here. It comes in the subconscious. Subconscious checks whether it is in line with its wisdom or not. Whatever it is not in line with, if it is fully connected, it will tell you that you are doing something wrong. That is why you would see a lot of creative people, they change their decision very frequently. They go ahead and then they say, sorry, let's kill everything, we are not going ahead. After spending time, money, energy. Because they are always, the creative people are always connected, they don't have survival instinct, they are always carrying this box together. So they wake up and they realize they have been wrong, and that's where they make a decision, I'm not going. So every day you can make a correction through sleep. You can make mistakes throughout the day. But when you sleep, this subconscious program will not allow you to continue to make mistakes. You cannot continue to make mistakes if you're listening to the subconscious. That is why inner listening, inner calling, these are the words used. And sleep is the process in which inner calling is happening. So one is, it has its wisdom, which it downloads to you. If the mind is empty, you are sleeping. The second, whatever you have done in the daytime, it cross-checks. If it is in line with the spirit, great. If not, it gives you the insight to correct it in the morning. But necessary condition is this. You cannot have your active mind and then still expect subconscious or so-called God to listen to your prayer. You don't need to pray. Sleep is the process. The prayers are being downloaded every moment. Then why you have to go to temple and worship? He's giving you the wisdom. Take this wisdom to the temple, because temple is a place which is of high energy. So in the morning when this wisdom has come, you go there, it just lifts your energy up. So whatever you caught little low frequency because you were not very good, you go to the temple, you do that ritual, you chant or whatever you do, that insight will emerge out on its own. Temple is not doing the magic. Magic is done by you, by yourself. Temple is just an amplifier. Editing tool. You want to call that editing tool. Right? So that's what sleep does to you. What happens? You generally have this notion that morning dreams are true. Exactly. This insight. Now you would understand how everything works for you. All these insights are coming to you early morning. You even have the visuals of what you should do during the day. And that is where 4:35 in the morning is the right time when this download is actually coming, and you're coming from sleep to the wake state. That is the state of Yog Nidra. So the transition state is the state of Yog Nidra, in which this is just beginning to crack open. So that whatever download comes here, you are able to remember it. If it is happening deep in the night, right, you probably would know half of it. because when you wake up, right, your earlier day program will interfere and will not take every data. That is why morning dreams are true for an empty mind. That's why the grandmothers used to see the dream. They used to have all the information because they didn't have the mind for survival. So that's dream. But what happens in the case of a nightmare? In case of a nightmare, the problem which is happening is that the conscious mind is trying to write to the subconscious its fear, its guilt, its shame. They are heavy. The fears are heavy. And the subconscious mind is trying to write into the conscious mind. But the conscious mind is not empty. It is filled with guilt and sorrow and fear and shame. So it's a clash between conscious and subconscious where the fear is released. The fear which you hold here is released by the subconscious. Subconscious is not willing to take your fear into it, which you want to write. And that's a good news. Nightmare is a good news for you because you're releasing your fear right in the night. Subconscious is refusing. That means you still have the wisdom, which is still trying to tell you to lead your life. And then there are multiple combinations. We don't need to get into it. There are complex situations like you're thinking about your sister. In the daytime, you're missing her. And in the night, you see a dream of a woman coming in your life. So you wake up in the morning wondering, but I was thinking about my sister. How come this love affair with some woman is coming in and interfering? These are various permutation combination of an unhealthy mind going to the sleep. So how do you sleep? How do you go to the sleep? There are simple practices which everyone has, apart from the envy hunting which we do in the night. That's the best in any case. But if you have to go to bed, of course, don't take your mobile phone. Sleep is a process in which you should start preparing for it. It should not be the case that you can't take it anymore and you crash. It's like food. You prepare for food for, let's say, a few minutes before you start to anticipate it. You become curious. You start to fantasize what I'm going to eat today. Similarly, you should have this curiosity. The best way to approach sleep, you should have this curiosity. If you are going to sleep, let's say at 12 o'clock at night, by 10:30, you should become curious about the process of sleep. When you become curious, what are you doing? Whatever stress you are holding through the day, it automatically starts to go down. Your mind is becoming active. Take some light reading, read some book, have soft, polite conversation with the family or friends, but begin to switch off as you approach sleep. Ideal perfect scenario, you lie in the bed, you observe your breath, and sleep doesn't come for next 5, 7, 10 minutes. And you don't even realize when it came. That is the perfect sleep where your mind has become empty and directly you can go into the deep state. And in this situation, you do not need 8 hours. There is no such rule that you have to sleep for 8 hours. You can sleep for 4 hours and you can be awake. It depends how good the connection is. So if this connection gets established right in the first phase of your sleep, first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour is enough. That is why a yogi doesn't sleep. For him, 1 hour is enough. When we do power sleep, for example, death spell, right? When we do death spell, our 5 minutes, 10 minutes of death spell is enough to the sleep of 4 hours or 6 hours. How do we do that? So it's basically your mind has to shut down so that the body starts to restore it to normal position, so it doesn't function according to the mind and doing some work. Body has to rest, subconscious has to give the wisdom, subconscious has to collect the data of the day. This entire process requires and inner engineering. So that's what sleep does. Thank you.